Experiment Nation, I have a special gift for you. If you're in the Airbnb space, or if you're thinking of getting into the Airbnb space, you're an operator with multiple units, your first unit, your 100th unit, just about to get into Airbnb, you are going to want to get this blueprint that I put together for you. Now, I want to give context of how this was put together, because sometimes people assemble these ideas and top 10 lists, top 5, top this, and it doesn't have any true valued vetted content. What I've done is I've surrounded myself by the best top short-term rental Airbnb operators in the world. I co-authored a best-selling book with them called Hospitable Host. I've had them on my platform and interviewed them to get the questions that you guys want to learn the most from into the episode, the show, The Real Estate Experiment, as you know. And I've also paid tens and thousands of dollars to be sitting in the room to get these notable insights that we implement ourselves as short-term rental operators. I'm a short-term rental specialist. I'm licensed to do it in the respective markets. You know, we build ours in Georgia. We have a management company ourselves. We're Airbnb superhosts. So we not only talk the talk, but we walk the walk, but we still consistently surround ourselves with the best in the space to get us further ahead. And this is what we've put together, an Airbnb Millionaire Blueprint, where you don't just hear it from me, you hear it, and it's an aggregate list. It's 21 pillars from short-term rental operators worldwide who've implemented this, and it's worked. And these are the exact same way we've been able to get results and get the same results from implementing these insights that I've pulled from multiple faces, right? Some people have tons of arbitrage units like TJ Tijani. Some like Bill Faith have just a few. Some like Michael Shogun has boutique hotels. They've scaled, and whether you have 1 unit, 10 units, or 100th unit, or about to get into your first unit, you're going to want to have this blueprint that you can utilize universally wherever you are in the world. You want to get this. I put together, we took a lot of time to put this together this year after all that we've been implementing in our lab, for you to have a guide that you can leverage, right? That you can use and implement. We've also given and tagged everybody that we've featured in and giving them credit, so you know where the source is coming from, and you can check out their Instagram. You can see that they're vetted individuals that we not only work with and trust but learn from, because sometimes you get a lot of different information, and I want to make sure I give that credit where you can find out that person. And we've also, if they've been on our show, we've also linked the episode within this free blueprint. It's the Airbnb Millionaire Blueprint. Want to make sure you go to experimentrealestate.com. Once you get there, you'll see the pop-up that says I have something for you. Just scroll down, enter your name, enter your email, and we'll get it right sent to you. Don't want to sleep on this. We've been putting this together for quite some time, and I know that it will serve you regardless of where you are in your journey, to have an Airbnb Millionaire Blueprint that has been collectively vetted and has been sourced from operators who are operating at a high scale. Experiment Nation, you are welcome. Make sure to go to experimentrealestate.com and get your Airbnb Millionaire Blueprint, so that you can also scale to the level of experiments that these practitioners like ourselves have done just for you. Experiment Nation, we'll see you on the other side. Who's this? Oh, you're an entrepreneur? Oh, you're a real estate investor. Oh, you're trying to learn from those who did it. Well, come into the lab then. Put your white coat on, gloves on, notepad, and let's build, y'all. Real estate experiment. What is happening, y'all? Today, I got an interesting gentleman that's in the lab with us, because he is a practitioner. Like I said, iron sharpens iron, and we as short-term rental operators need a gentleman like him in the lab, and the company that he's built, because it adds an extra tool to the tool belt and allows us to then be able to execute our experiments respectively, regardless of where you are in the marketplace, whether it's a vacation rental, short-term rental. And so I'm really interested to have Jeff Ilouilan step into the lab with us and tell us how he came about becoming the founder of what you may have already heard, Host GPO, a buying group for the short-term rental industry that, from what I understand, as of today, because I know you as an entrepreneur, you guys are always growing, so I can't wait to hear what it is that you got cooking for us on the back end. But from what I understand, is a place that we can go to get, again, quality furnishing, right, and furniture. And you've partnered with some of the best vendors in the space, right? To be able to do that. It's almost like B2B/B2C. And knowing us as business operators, whether you're have a big company, whether you're just starting out, getting access to vendors like Williams Sonoma, Pottery Barn, West Elm, Home Depot. I mean, you name it, these guys are in there, and you've kind of been able to foster that relationship to be able to serve us as short-term rental operators. So I want to thank you first before I welcome you into this lab. Thank you, sir. And I'm actually looking forward to getting my hands on. I know a lot of people in my network have been talking about this. I want to get the man in the lab first so we can hear from here first, and then obviously roll it into my Rolodex of tools and vendors. So what's going on, Jeff?
Not much. Thank you so much for the intro, and I'm really excited to be here and chat up Host GPO and just STR world stuff in general.
Yeah. I want to talk about the person though, because I believe as an entrepreneur, your company is a reflection of who you are, right? You kind of steer the ship, you bring on the right people. Obviously, we're mutually connected. Shout out to Mark Simpson, man. That's my guy. We're Boostly Connect. He's onto something. I told him I gotta give him a shout out every single time I get cool connection. And also shout out to John Hiddlebrand, because he's the one who actually had name dropped your company in one of our previous episodes too. But I gotta ask, like, what's your deal, man? I mean, I see you've grown. It's so respectable. Like you have a law background. You went to UCLA School of Law, so you have that going for yourself. And then you're like a co-founder of this amazing company that, again, is a need, right? And that's what I love about entrepreneurship. You're solving a problem. But what problem were you solving before this problem? Like what were you on, man? Like what was it that you were trying to do in this marketplace and in this world, brother?
Yeah, well, Host GPO came from the problem I had in my vacation rental business. So I was a practicing lawyer. I was working in a big law firm, and everything was kind of going great. And like a lot of people in this industry, fell into short-term rentals by accident. You get one on the side; it's your side hustle, and then it kind of becomes your main hustle.
Who planted
And
that seed? Who planted that seed?
oh, I read an article once in like 2012
Yeah.
about a company in New York that was doing lease arbitrage on like a massive scale, and I was just so fascinated that it just kind of sat in the back of my mind. And then the first really good lease arbitrage opportunity that presented itself in like 2014, I just jumped right in. And
Why arbitrage and not ownership? Just out of curiosity, for those who might be thinking the exact same thing I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were a couple of reasons for me. One, back then I didn't have the capital to really get into ownership. Two, the market I was in was Los Angeles, and so getting into ownership is an even bigger capital expense.
Yeah.
I wasn't really an expert enough in the space to do the management side yet, and there weren't a lot of coaching tools and podcasts and things like that available. 8 years ago, 9 years ago, to be able to jump in, and then I had a really unique way I was doing arbitrage, which was very different than anything else, and it was extremely lucrative. So that was kind of the
Hold on. You're not gonna just come in here and just drop that and then expect me to be like,
so
oh, unique way. What was the unique way, bro? What was it? What was going on that you were doing that was so different? You got an NDA or something? What's going on?
I don't. But my strategy for 8 9 years ago was very unique to Los Angeles and to Southern California. And down here, when you file to get entitlements to either demolish or renovate a house, that process really takes a long time. I mean, it takes 18 months plus to get something like that through. And so my model that I came up with was, and the first kind of bigger lease arbitrage deal that I was getting into were based on this idea that I was finding properties that had just been purchased from owners who were moving out, where the new construction company or management company that was taking over and was going to renovate and flip the house didn't want to lease it out on a short-term basis, which then was 12 to 18 months. And so they were going to just leave the homes empty. So I ended up leasing those homes at like way under market rent, and then leasing them for 12 to 18 months, moving in, furnishing, putting them up on different vacation rental websites, and then moving out when their entitlements came through. So I was like leasing well under market rate and leasing well over, back then it was like the triple, quadruple market rate lease world that we were in for short-term rentals. It's not as heavy anymore, but it was the Wild West back then.
Wait, how did you? That's super niche, by the way. Like that's pretty crazy. How did you how did you come across that? Like do you want to tell me what kind of law you're in? Is it connected to that, or like how did you get into this?
Yeah, I mean, I was just doing business litigation and some real estate property law, but like nothing super relevant. This was just, you got to keep your ears open. And I was talking to somebody one time who had just bought a house, who was a developer, and he was thinking about doing this, and it just crossed my mind that, oh yeah, this is the whole concept of Airbnb. I mean, not to like talk about Airbnb. I know that it's a hot topic right now. We're short-term rentals, and I'm all about that. But the idea behind Airbnb and Uber, for that matter, was how do you take an underutilized asset and really maximize the utilization of it? And so this was just a prime example of that, where you had literally properties that would sit empty because owners didn't want to rent out, and nobody wanted to rent a home for 12 months if they knew they were going to have to move out. There's not really that market for it. So I was trying to find, plus a lot of the people who buy and flip and do those types of home flips, they're not really like set up to be property managers, right? If you buy a home and you're going to flip, like what the one thing you want more than anything is somebody to come in and say, hey, I'm just going to give you a check every month. Let me know 2 weeks to a month before your demo date, and I'm out, and I'll handle everything. They're so happy that you're paying. Otherwise they usually sit empty.
Yeah, it's sitting vacant. That's crazy. I love the being resourceful and finding opportunities, because sometimes people might say, hey, like feed me, like what is everybody doing? And it's like, oh yeah, let me just do that. But being open and I think listening to the problem and closing that gap is what entrepreneurship is about. Like, what does the marketplace need, and where's the demand and where's the need?
100%. I mean, I'm a big believer in being outside your comfort zone, because your comfort zone gets bigger, and doing things like solving your own problems. And Host GPO was like the solution from the vacation rental company that I had built over that 7 years before I started Host GPO. I mean, I grew my business from a handful of vacation rental properties to a mix of arbitrage and property managed units, luxury homes, apartment buildings. I mean, I really did a lot of stuff, and we were operating at 150 units when, yeah, and some of those were big homes. And one of the big problems I was having was just buying stuff. I was having a really tough time finding linens and not having to like run around to like Costco and Ross and Walmart and Amazon, and not knowing the quality, and then it's out of stock, and then you get it from somewhere else, and how do I find mattresses, and why am I logging into 40 different websites to pay my pest control bills, right? All of these things are like problems that I felt, and I also was buying a ton of furniture, but you get treated like the guy who buys one couch, even when you're buying one couch to replace in one of your 150 homes that are all furnished with the same furniture. And so really understanding that this was a problem for me, meeting other people in the community, understanding that they were having the same problem, and then going out and trying to make that solution was really how Host GPO started.
What's the vacation rent company called? Is that the Winthorpe one, or is that?
Yeah. We had a couple different sub names for our different asset classes. So like WV was like the main Wither Valentine. That was like the main company that kind of held all of them. But our month-to-month rental company was called like Flex Renter, and so our short-term luxury rental company had a different name, right? Because the brands all had to match the assets, and the assets were everything from studio apartments in big buildings to hyper luxury villas that were $10 million homes, that kind of stuff. So we really tried. We couldn't have one brand like encapsulate all of them.
Yeah. Do you have like a holding company model or something?
Yeah, I've got a lot of holding companies. Everything is held on its own. Everything is very held.
You're a smart guy, man. I can tell.
Appreciate it.
Not that I can tell. The proof is in the pudding, but I can tell how you think is very strategic. It's not by chance. So you speak in the past tense. Did you liquidate? Did you
I
sell?
didn't. I
Did you
didn't
exit?
liquidate. I still have. I
Mhm,
still have a piece of my previous portfolio. But
mhm.
when I decided to move to doing Host GPO full time, I split up with the rest of the ownership of that company, and they ended up taking the lion's share of the properties and still operate them. And I took my handful of gems that I was like, I'll never get rid of these. These are the ones that I love. My vacation rental properties that I'm super passionate about and still run them. So I
Are you,
have a handful myself,
you guys
but
on good? You guys on good terms?
yeah, we're on good terms. It's just different people wanting different things at different points in their
Yeah,
lives,
yeah, yeah.
and
No,
Host GPO was a
mhm.
pipe dream, and so I was really willing to take a big swing at it.
Yeah, I love that you said that kind of because just as a FYI, and everybody knows this when they come on the show, the reason it's called the real estate experiment. And I should have an hourglass behind that infinity sign too, because I've had this conversation with a gentleman. It's kind of like you have like you have you have to be able to, and again, this is my belief, right? You have to be able to take a lot of different experiments just to get exposure to it, right? You got exposed because this is what I like, this is what I don't like. I got a taste of that, etc. And then you double down, right? Like that's when it gets super niche. Like, okay, I'm putting all my eggs in. I'm all in. I'm swinging big. I'm committing. This is my niche. This is what I do. And then when you really put that stake in the marketplace as like the go-to for that, right? You're known for that. Then I believe, again, my belief, that you can then broaden out again and diversify, right?
I
That's
think
just
that's
me.
right.
I don't know what your thoughts are.
I think that's right. I mean, I did it right. So from my vacation
Love
rental
that.
company, I started 3 or 4 other vacation rental specific problem solving companies that all had varying degrees of success. So I had a company that was filing permits for folks, in vacation rental permits. Right, I was using my legal background. And I was like, you know what, maybe I should file permits for other people. I did that and did it for a while, and it was good. I had a remote check-in company that was doing background checks and sending check-in information to people. I thought about starting a company that took your trash out and brought your trash back in, right? And so all of these problems that I was having, I was like, maybe there should be a company that does this. And even a lot of people who have ended up buying laundromats, like I was very close to buying the laundromat we were using. I mean, we were using them so much, we became a significant portion of their business, and it's just a great model to be able to integrate something like that into your solution when you get into your company when you get big enough where that's a consideration. So always kind of spinning out different ideas. But when I really started to dig my heels in on Host GPO, and I started to see the traction that was there, how quickly we were growing as a group, and how much value we were adding for people, and just being able to help people in the space scale their businesses, I just really felt passionate. I was really lucky and fortunate that I was able to grow my business the way I was. But I really wanted to help other people do the same thing and really elevate the industry. And I really felt like I could do that with Host GPO.
I love the humility there. Very lucky. I see obviously a pattern,
Yeah.
but do you know who Roland Fraser is?
I don't think so.
Yeah, Roland Fraser is I don't know if you know, in the world of digital marketing, traffic and conversion. He's a recovering attorney. He actually buys businesses. I'm in his mastermind. Love the guy.
Cool.
I love the idea of buying businesses and etc. Right? Because
I love the
that's
idea of being a recovering attorney.
yeah, no, that's how he says it. He always says it, recovering attorney. He bought like 30 different businesses. But anyway, I thought that's like what you do. But what's so interesting, like as you're talking about all these vertically integrated almost problems, which then become business opportunities. We're gonna get the Host GPO in a second, but the reason I'm going there is just I want to see how your mind works.
Sure.
Like what do you when you're tackling a business opportunity, or let's just call it a problem, and you're thinking like I'm gonna potentially turn this into a business, like what goes through that thought process of like almost not analysis, but like okay, ruling this out, ruling this in. Like, does it have to be vertically integrated? Does it have to be horizontally integrated? Does it have to is there a certain multiple that you're looking for? Like, what does your mind think like of Jeff when you're looking at an opportunity? Because I have something tells me this isn't going to be your last business. Just the thought. I don't know. You could exit, you could sell, you could potentially grow this to the moon. But I don't know. You have a way of thinking that strikes me as like I like to solve problems within my niche, or as I take this road and then I see there's opportunities. So tell me, how do you think this thing through when we're looking at it through your lens?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good question. And I think that the answer has changed over time. So I think that the way I approach these kinds of things 8, 9 years ago versus how I approach them now is just different. And so I think the first question is for me is always, is this a real problem? Is it a real problem or is it an inconvenience? There's a lot of people out there trying to solve inconveniences. And inconveniences are things that people don't necessarily want to pay for or don't necessarily need. So
That's Dude, that's good.
yeah, I
No,
think
that's a good answer.
it's true. I mean, look, I think that a lot of the time the big tip offs are usually when there's words like concierge or data driven or like right, like all of a sudden you're like, okay, wait, like how much is this? Where is the data in what we're doing, or is there actual data behind this, or who am I concierging and do they want to be concierge, right? Like those types of things are really important because problems are things people are willing to pay to solve. So that's kind of one thing. And then I think the other really important thing to consider is just where you are in your life at that moment, because the scope of problem or opportunity or thing that you're willing to do or looking to do in that moment is different. And so I think that people who approach starting new businesses, you really need to, one, make sure that the problem you're solving is a real problem, but two, make sure that this is the problem that you're trying to solve right now in your life. I think Host GPO was an idea that I'd had for a while, and not something that I was ready to do until later on. In the same way that I had some other ideas that I could have done when I started my vacation rental company, but in that moment in my life, I was leaving a law firm, wanted to make sure that I had a significant amount of income and that I could keep, be happy working, and knew that I could grow that business in a certain way. And I was learning. So I was always learning while I was doing it. And I was in a place in my life where I wasn't willing to take that big swing. Now I had a really successful vacation rental company, and it got me to the point where then I found a problem, and I was in a point in my life where I was willing to and able to take a swing that was big enough to solve a problem of this size. Because the problem Host GPO aims to solve is a big one. It's a logistically complicated, very time intensive, super high touch problem. And to do it right, and to get to, we've had over 200,000 units sign up to be Host GPO members. That's an insane amount of people to be able to service. And so, making sure that you could do it in the right way and be in a position in my life where I felt like I could tackle that problem. Those were kind of key considerations.
That's so interesting that you're saying right now. Are you then saying that it's more on the entrepreneur's timing, or is it more on the marketplace timing / both? Like when you say that, I just want to make sure I really understand what you mean. Like right now, when you say that.
I mean, I think that the demands on it depends on okay. So I have a really good friend, and he talks about this a different way. And he goes, if you're thinking about starting a business, you have to make sure that the business aligns with your current incentives. And so for him, it's the best example of it is, if I told you that you could have $1 million a year starting right now, guaranteed for 20 years, or I told you you could have a lottery ticket that had a 1 in 10 chance of winning $100 million or $200 million, right? Something like that, right? Where you're setting the expectation of an ongoing amount of return versus a really big potential return down the line, right? Sometimes in your life, you're in a place where you're like, I want $1 million a year. And sometimes in your life, you're in a place where you're like, you know what, I actually want to take a gamble, or I want to do something bigger, or I want to put myself out that way, or I'm willing to, raise money to do it. Right. So just understanding where you are in terms of the opportunity that you're trying to tackle. Right. I see a lot of people make this mistake, start trying to solve huge problems and create huge businesses that have good potential, upside down the road, but like are not revenue generating, are, require finding outside capital, and they get too invested and they just burn years away, tooling ideas down the road, where like entrepreneurs and business owners, it doesn't have to be this crazy tech thing. I mean, Host GPO is a tech platform, but like it's also a business. And like, I don't know, I just think it's really interesting to kind of think about what opportunity you're chasing and making sure that aligns with where you are in your life. And making sure that you're solving a problem.
Yeah, no, I like that. It's funny. I always have this discussion because I'm I've had different businesses, and I come from like, you're in Cali, so you got the VC guys, and I'm not a VC guy. I don't even think I would take a company public, if I'm honest. I'm a cash flow guy, so I have cash flow businesses, like, digital marketing, like that was our background. Like we make money, and like I was talking to a guy, right, and put you out there. I won't say his name, but he's on West Coast, went to Stanford, got a lot of VC stuff, and he shut his company down. I'm like, well, yeah, because like the proof of concept, like where was the proof of concept? Like for us, proof of concept is on the balance sheet. Like it's not like an idea and I'm gonna get backed. I don't know. I just feel like those are very two different entrepreneurs, and maybe you've seen a hybrid, but I'm definitely on the other side, like where I'm like building a cash flow businesses.
That's what I'm saying. It's who you are, right? I'm telling you, right now, you might be that. 10 years, 20 years from now, you might think totally differently. But I think understanding which version of a business you want to create for you in your life is a super important part of this equation that really gets overlooked.
You're right. Now that I think about, like, speaking of my brand experiment, fail and repeat, like we always talk about this, and some masterminds of my good buddies of mine, I'm like, he's like, yo, this next business, because I had the exits, like I'm gonna swing for the fences, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's cool, but for me, I don't know, like I personally, and this is a side topic, I personally like the idea of possibly like building something, having it being vertically integrated and doing like a roll up or something, like, that to me is like cool. But then it's cool, obviously, if you can have like a real impact, right? But then some of those businesses are not profitable up front for a while, right? So it's interesting.
I mean, it is interesting, and if these are the kinds, if anybody is like listening and these are the kinds of things that you think about all the time, then like you should probably keep going, because it's impossible to stop. I mean, look at the Peloton guy that just, the ex-Peloton CEO. Did you see that article yesterday?
No, what's his deal?
The guy who left Peloton, the original CEO or last CEO. I mean, the guy's been out for, I guarantee you, I don't know the guy or anything about it. I guarantee you that guy's not like hunting for money, but like he just decided to start a super random business that like makes custom carpets. But it's just such an interesting thing, because like, the interview with him was super fascinating, because he was like, I've been thinking about doing this for 25 years. And it's like, yeah, that's what it is. And if you're the kinds of person that like loves talking about new businesses and new ideas and concepts and mapping them out and figuring out how they would work, I mean, you don't have a choice. This is just how your mind works. And you're just constantly like, trying to solve problems. I mean, and get frustrated when things aren't good. I get frustrated when I go to the car wash and like it's a terrible experience. I'm like, I'm gonna roll up some car washes and like like
is that actually how your mind thinks though? Like, do you
100%? I get so frustrated every time I have to like do something, or like make a restaurant reservation, like make it a doctor's appointment, and I'm like, why isn't there an app? Like I just like I start thinking about like, all right, what would it take to do it? I've always been like that.
Would you consider yourself a serial entrepreneur? Like, is that how you would identify yourself?
Yeah, serial something. I'll take entrepreneur. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm psycho, but yes,
no, that's what I'm saying. Like,
it's crazy. I mean, it's you can't stop. Once you if you like it, and I love doing this.
It's a game.
Who knows?
It's a game. That's what I'm saying. Like, I really like playing the game. You know what I
Oh, the
mean?
game's the best. The game
Yeah.
is the best. It's
Yeah.
it's everything. And look, I'm telling you, it changes over time, or it's changed for me over time. And some of the VC guys that I know and the institutional capital guys, like their whole thing is they did it this way. Then they ended up getting acquired, and then they went through all the fundraising stuff, and they're like, you know what? I'm going to start a VC so I can like a group so that I can help other people and do it differently. I mean, everybody's got a different thing.
Yeah. Let's talk about Host GPO, right? Because
Okay,
obviously you got here and you started solving this problem. We touched on it a little bit,
sure.
but give us let's isolate the inconvenience from the problem and the right that you've solved, because it's a real thing that we don't, sometimes we talk about the end result a lot, but the process gets left behind, right? And that's what you see, right? Whether you're like, hey guys, here's how I scale from 0 to 100 units, etc. Like, I remember, I'll give you some context. I had an e-commerce. We had an e-commerce business. We had like only 7 different SKUs. It wasn't crazy, but we were scaling pretty, right? And like all these mastermind coaches and stuff, like, though, first of all, there's a big difference between gross revenue versus what you take home, right? That was one of the big things, right? So you could flaunt those
Yeah.
numbers, right, all day
Oh,
long.
I like that. And then I love like the number of doors doesn't really matter. Like everybody's just got like crazy door envy. Like, oh yeah, I had 600 doors.
Absolutely.
I had
That's
200
why I got
units.
into this space, right? It's kind of like, okay, that sounds sexy, but like, all
Yeah.
right,
How
Mr.
many?
Multifamily Man, is it $100 a pop, or
Yeah.
like, like, what are we talking here? So
Yeah.
anyway,
A lot
sorry.
of people out there, talking about their 7-figure businesses, but anybody with an 8-figure business isn't even talking about it. It's it's an interesting thing.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyways,
Subtle. But to that point, I remember, like, everyone's talking logistics, like, there's so much for making. It's like, Shopify account looks like this and all that. And then, but we really faced a real, like, what they weren't selling was the process of like fulfillment, and that entire process of building a customer service team, building, like, there was just so many pieces in between that you miss. And I want to highlight that, because when we talk about whether it's rental arbitrage, right? Oh, I got to land a deal and I got 20 units, I'm doing that. Or you're buying, and we do everything out of state. So our logistics need to be like super sharp. We don't even see the damn thing sometimes, and we buy it. So the process, just to put things into context, of being a short-term rental operator and furnishing a home, can you talk about the old way, because I know you started talking about it, and what the new way looks like
yeah.
working with a company like yours?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, the old ways, I've done a lot of them. So I was a big Facebook marketplace, which only lasted for a little while before you realize that you can't keep driving around to all these different places because you're wasting a ton of time, and finding the things and having 100 messages in your phone to buy one couch is like not the way to do it, right? Then I transitioned to like, okay, well, maybe I'll go to like bigger flea markets and like try to pick stuff up and like see how that goes. And sometimes you find things and most of the times you don't. And I was like, all right, you know what? IKEA is everything. I'm just going to be the number one IKEA person. And then you get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm here at IKEA and I have a whole team. We have 48 shopping carts. True story. 48 shopping carts, and we're trying to check out of IKEA, and the checkout process takes 4 hours, and we have to rent some U-Hauls, and got into an accident with one of the U-Hauls, and then you get back to the home, and then you have to unload them, and then you realize you have to build all
Oh
of this
my God.
furniture. And so, then you learn later that like you didn't get quality enough stuff, and that it only lasted a certain amount of time, and that sometimes the particle board looks like wood but it's not wood, and then the guest gets upset because the accuracy isn't great, and then your listing ratings go down, and then you have to block off a day to replace the couch or the whatever it is that broke, and then you have to pay to have the couch removed, and they have to pay for the new couch, and then you're losing a night of revenue, right? So there's a lot of things and lessons that we've learned over time, collectively, personally, but also as a community. I hear stories from people that I'm like, I can't even imagine that they're solving problems that I didn't even think to solve, but now they're built into what we do. And so, the new way, and the thing that Host GPO really tries to focus on is, if you are setting up a new home or you have a vacation rental business with multiple units, and you are buying furniture, supplies, linens, amenities, services. If you go somewhere like Ace Hardware, or you order pest control through Terminix or somebody else, right? We are trying to streamline the entire process from ordering to order tracking to reordering, and helping you select from a curated group of quality brands that provide discounted pricing, deep discounted pricing. Nobody gets better pricing than Host GPO. We guarantee we have the best pricing with every vendor that we partner with. Contractually, we do. Nobody gets better pricing than us. And so the concept there is you can buy better quality stuff at a lower price, and it's optimized for this use, for vacation rental use, for commercial type wear and tear. And so how do we build something, which we've done with Host GPO, that can allow you to order from the beginning, track things through the process, make sure that you are ordering the right kinds of things that you're not going to have to replace, and building in all these little things throughout the process to help streamline the ordering.
So when I'm listening to this, I'm like, okay, like I'm in, right?
Cool.
When you think of your core competency,
Mm-hmm.
is it your ability to foster relationships with these noted or respectable vendors so that I don't have to go to multiple vendors because I know that Host GPO has them under one umbrella or roof?
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge part of it, right? And the idea is, and GPO stands for Group Purchasing Organization. So while I was solving my own problem, I also wasn't inventing an entire industry. GPO, they exist in other spaces. They're buying groups where you join a community of other people that are buying similar things for a similar problem, and they go and negotiate with each of these vendors for specific things that make sense. So it's not only things like, hey, we're going to get 50, 60% off of all of these different items that you have, right? Or if your entire catalog, right? It's not just we're going to get these deep discounts. It's also, we want a dedicated customer support line and team at your company to handle our orders from our group. We want people to be able to get samples and try the products out. We want free shipping on low or no minimums, so that, in our industry, it's important that you can ship to different houses. Not everybody has centralized warehouses. I mean, some of our bigger members with, multi-thousands worth of units, they ship to their warehouses and then they distribute from their warehouses to their regional, but most people don't have that, right? So how do we get no shipping minimums, and how do we get things that deliver different addresses? And how do we make sure that individual owners and companies don't have to call 50 different mattress companies to try to get the best deal?
Got it. So can you walk me through a case study of
Sure.
I think it'll be very helpful for, I'm trying to furnish a home in Fort Lauderdale. I'm based in New York.
Yeah.
What do? I log onto my portal, Host
Yes.
GPO, and tell me
So,
what happens next.
Yeah, great. Okay, great question. Let's just say you're doing a 4-bedroom, mid to luxury home in Florida, right? So and let's say that you have something like a 10-week timeline to get it set up, because you're trying to figure out how to do it and you're not doing it in an immediate rush, and you understand that, while you could do it faster if you were there, maybe you've done enough of these now where you realize that pricing for perfection and trying to do everything on a timeline of like a 2-day turnaround is an insane thing to do. So let's assume that we're there. And look, if you're not and you're trying to turn something around in a week or two, like, there are options for you there too. But like, let's say that you're doing it the full Host GPO way, right? So you would come in, you'd log into Host GPO. You first of all, you would sign up at Host GPO. We actually vet and talk to every person who signs up. Make sure that you qualify, make sure you are an actual host that would qualify to join us, and we approve your account so that you can log in. All of our deals are confidential, which is why on this chat right now, I can't be like, we get X% off this company, we get Y% off that company. Always guarantee the best. It's better than whatever trade discount you might get anywhere else. It's not your normal trade anywhere. This is way above any of that stuff. So a lot of time people have like their interior designers or architects, and they have the basic discount at like a West Elm or something like that. But this is like not that. It's way above that. So you would sign up. You have a new home. You have some floor plans. You have an idea for what you want. when you get approved, you can log into the member portal and you see all of the different brands that we partner with. So it's, a couple of different mattress companies, a couple of different linen companies, a couple of different furniture companies. And if it was me and I was setting up a new home, I would say, all right, do you have any sort of design help for this entire new home that I'm doing? And Host GPO partners with Williams-Sonoma. We have a Host GPO Williams-Sonoma free interior design program. So what that looks like is if you're doing a whole home, we can connect you with the Williams-Sonoma interior designer. So that's all the Williams-Sonoma brands. So Pottery Barn, West Elm, Williams-Sonoma, Rejuvenation, Mark and Grant, those are all owned by the same company.
Wow.
And they will do your interior design for you for free and then manage the logistics to make sure that everything gets consolidated in a delivery and installed and built as part of your delivery and consolidation, right? So that's all of your furniture stuff. It's a really easy way to do it. Now, you can buy a la carte a couple things from Crate and Barrel CB2, a couple things from West Elm, a couple things from Article, right? You can buy from each of these brands, but ultimately, you are going to want to consider, if you're doing a whole home, this Williams-Sonoma design program, right? So all of a sudden, you've just accessed an unbelievable discount with any of those brands, but specifically with Williams-Sonoma, if you're trying to do the interior design program. You have an interior designer that you sent some pictures of other listings that you like to. You sent them the floor plan. They get it going for you. They help you put together an entire package of everything that you need, and boom, that's your first part of your order. Because ultimately, furniture delivery times are the longest lead times right now. We will help you with that when you do your onboarding call, et cetera. We have a ton of resources to help walk people through. So that's your furniture. Then you're going to go.
And if you don't mind there, Jeff, for a second, how in depth, and I'm assuming obviously they're designers. So, are you going to the level of depth of like the furniture and any, again, linens and et cetera, that's in the home, or are you also going to the level of like, hey, we're thinking of putting this wallpaper there, like what will go with that? Like, what's the engagement look like? Do they just strictly stick to room by room? Like, just want to get a little granular. Is it like a room by room plan? Here's like your blueprint of here's what we picked based on what you told us that you like, or is it more like tell us what you like and then tell us what you're thinking, and then we'll come up with something like where do they meet halfway?
And we've gone through, so we did a pilot version of this program for about 9 months, where we went through multiple iterations of, do we want to work with local designers? Do we want to work with da-da-da-da? And so what we ended up doing is there is a team of Host GPO short-term rental specific interior designers at Williams-Sonoma that they know the little things like don't put full beds, right? Don't put full beds, right? Nobody should be putting full beds in their units. You can only sleep one person in a full bed. Put 2 twins or put a queen. You really don't want to put a full. It's like the last thing you order. So those types of little things that are really hospitality and vacation rental specific, we've trained them and worked with them on. So like that stuff is happening. And then there is back and forth. They will come to you with, hey, this is your floor plan you've laid out. Here's the mood boards. Here's how we're going to lay the furniture out, et cetera. And you can say things like, hey, we want to do this, this is the color we're painting the house and the color we're painting the room. This is our mood board. This is a couple listings of other, of other homes and pictures of other homes that we like. We're trying to do something similar, and they'll work with you on getting that, done up. Now, what ends up happening most of the time is everybody's trying to cram this into a 10-week timeline. And so, if you have a lot of time, like 14 weeks or something like that, like then you're really getting into, you can have more back and forth and engagement. But yes, there is the opportunity to have that kind of engagement on that, even on an 8 to 10 week timeline.
That's really interesting. So you go ahead and go through this process, and then
and we recommend that, and we tell most people this, you want to get your durable furniture items from somewhere like West Elm that has contract grade furniture, right? It's a designation called contract grade furniture.
What's that? Yeah, what does that mean?
It means it's commercially tested for heavy use and wear and tear. So the way it's constructed, they'll put it through shake tests, they'll put it through whatever. And what contract grade means on certain websites doesn't mean the same thing as it does on other websites, because there isn't like one kind of, but theirs is certified. I can't remember what the name of the testing facility is. It's like the one institution. Anyways, it's real contract grade furniture that like will go through the wear and tear. It's made from materials that are meant to last and be durable, kind of things that like hotels and restaurants will use, right? Which is at the end of the day, your pullout couch is getting used like a pullout couch in a commercial setting, not in the pullout couch that your buddy comes and crashes on for like 2 nights a year. So it's the same product. It's just, they're both called pullout couch, but they're totally different uses. It would be like, I don't know, I'm not going to try to come up with an analogy. Anyways,
no,
that's
very straightforward.
So that's kind of what we do for furniture stuff. And then, we think things like mattresses, linens, maybe even rugs and art, supplies and amenities like your soaps and shampoos. Those really should come from other brands other than the Williams-Sonoma family, and I think they're cool with that. Like, they know that their linens aren't like commercial contract grade linens. They're like linens that are meant for residential home use, right? So we partner with a brand like Standard Textile, which is the largest hospitality linen company in the U.S. This is who Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, etc. they all buy from. And then we'll build out something for you on our Host GPO site, which is called Bed Box and Bath Box. And the idea is that you can come onto Host GPO. We said you're doing a 4-bedroom home, right? So let's say it's 6 beds total. You say 1 king, 2 queens, a couple twins, etc. And then luxe, medium, or basic. You press next, and again, you can shop all of this stuff a la carte, but we're trying to help you. And so that puts together a shopping cart automatically for you of every bed item you need, every bath item you need at 3 par, which is what you should be getting, right? 3 of everything, so that you have 1 to use, 1 to wash, and 1 to put in back stock. And all of a sudden, you can edit that cart, right? You can say, I actually don't want makeup towels, or maybe I do want to add a robe or whatever. But that's at least going to get you out of the door on encasements, pillows, inserts, duvet inserts, sheets, towels, like how many of each of these kinds of things and what level based on the best sellers. Now you can go and shop a la carte and there's other options, get samples and feel it out, but we're trying to help you streamline that ordering. So you do stuff like that, you get your linens, you order your amenities, whether it's from like a Public Goods or a small travel size shampoo company. We're happy to talk to you about the benefits of each of these. We're working with you throughout if you have questions. And then the cool thing about this is we really focus on allowing you to order directly from our partner. So the way that you order a lot of these things is either, even in our platform, if you're using a shopping cart in our platform, when you press order, that order goes to the vendor directly. Or sometimes it's a coupon code if you want to buy a mattress or something like that, or a rug, and we'll give you a coupon code that you can request and buy it on their site directly. I don't think that we can build, or at least not for years, an e-commerce experience that can rival 40, 50, 60 different websites, e-commerce experiences in one. There's a lot of companies that try to do that, and that doesn't really make sense. I mean, you should be able to shop on these beautifully designed sites that are meant to guide you towards the things that you want, right? You want to be able to filter by shipping and da-da-da-da. But what's cool about Host GPO is because we have these direct partnerships, you actually get to, no matter which brand you order from, I think it's like almost all of our brands at this point, but you can click on your order history on the Host GPO site and look at everything you ordered, even on their site, because we're partnering with them directly. We're connected with them on the back end. So you can see, hey, you know what? I bought this for my house on 123 Main Street. I bought this for my house on, 456 High Street, and I want to rebuy it again in the future. Or, you know what? I need to bill this to the owner. What did I buy for their property? Right? You can go back and see all your things in one place instead of having to look through your email and find all your order history and figure out what it was that you bought and, whatever 2 years ago, that kind of stuff. So, again, trying to standardize, give you quality products like things like Standard Textile that have all these little features like pre-laundered linens or color coordinated threads that go on the inside to tell the linens apart, right? All this kind of stuff that's really geared towards being optimized for this industry. We're trying to give you access to that at deep discounted pricing and allow for you to go through these one-click flows as much as possible. Buy a box of kitchen items, buy a box of amenity items. If you want, at least it's an option for you to try to help streamline that,
Sure.
that growth.
Sure. And so Jeff, is that simply a matter of you guys did an integration with a lot of these different UIs, like on the front end, so that it
Front end, back end, API
yeah.
integrations. I mean,
Wow,
I
that's
don't know,
pretty,
I don't know
yeah,
half the words that our dev team uses, but
yeah,
they do a great job integrating with these brands, and they're really our partners. These brands, they're our vendor partners, and they're here to support and help businesses grow as well.
It's cool. So does that mean that from a user experience, I may be checking out of 4 different carts, but then I have the ability to track um on the back end, like where I had purchased from, right? So I might be at
You might be at rugsusa.com and buying on Rugs USA's website. But later you're going to be able to go to the Host GPO portal and see what you ordered.
That's really cool, man. And so the question that is, I'm sure, at the back of all of our minds, or most of us who have done this before, is probably okay, cool. Like, is there a suggestion or possible solution or possible workaround with multiple items shipping at different times?
So it's kind of, there isn't anything great across the board. And so the one thing I recommend, especially for people like you're saying who are in New York and doing a unit in Florida, is I really think that the leveraging the Williams-Sonoma consolidated delivery through like a design program or not, we can help you do it otherwise. That's a good way. They'll hold all the stuff for you and you schedule the delivery when it's time. So as long as you're ordering with enough lead time, they're going to hold all those things and deliver them for you on the date that you schedule. Now, when it comes to other things, what we usually tell people to do is like consolidate your delivery and then 2 weeks out, start ordering, order your mattress 2.5 weeks out, order your linens 2 weeks out, and we have timelines for like recommended ordering cadences to get everything there within like, hopefully within like a week or so. Now, shipping times and COVID and all this stuff, it's like a little bit messy, but like you can do it that way. Otherwise, there are companies out there, third-party companies, logistics companies that will hold all your stuff for you, but they're really, really, really expensive.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Tell us more about this consolidated delivery program. Is that only if you're gonna do the interior design consult pro? Yeah, is that what it is?
No, if you're doing a large enough order, I think it's over $10,000 from them. We can just have them, or maybe it's 15,000 now. I can't remember, but we can just have them and process the order in a specific way with them so that it's consolidated and held for you. And what that does is usually they consolidate all your big furniture items, so your couches and beds and that kind of stuff. That stuff usually gets consolidated. But what happens is that you end up ordering from West Elm and you want like a pillow and a certain dining chair that's like a simple one to put together, and like a lamp. And those things are going to ship out via UPS or whatever, like right away whenever they're ready. This consolidated delivery thing is super cool because they will actually hold all of that, including your UPS items, in one place.
Yeah, that's interesting. Would you ever consider, and maybe you've gone down this path, and I'm wondering if that's something you guys will see in the future, partnering with a logistics company that would give more favorable rates, because we know that is obviously an expensive kind of
for sure
avenue to go down.
For sure. And like the truth is we've talked to a lot of them, and Host GPO, the other thing is like, look, we're saving you money, but we're also saving you time. And part of that means that we're not going to put anything on our site that's just your generic discount, or anything on the site that's like you're not a real value add. And so ultimately this stuff has been so expensive and we haven't been able to like get enough of a value from somebody, or a quality of product, like a quality of delivery and holding and installation that is across the board good enough to be on our site. And so maybe we'll find it, and maybe we'll find that company, and maybe we'll talk to them and really explore that a little bit more. But we haven't found anybody that we're super happy with, because we find that most of the people that are out there are very, very expensive, and they do not great work across the board in different regions. And so, until we find a solution that we think is great, we're happy to recommend people, especially in certain regions that we think are good. But like, we don't have like an overall deal with anybody.
Yeah, and thus I'm just curious. One of the things we didn't talk about is what's in it for these companies, right? I mean, obviously, it might be an obvious question, but I really want to highlight it because, I'm a big believer in paying for access, right? And so if you guys have the relationship, what the heck do I look like trying to form a relationship and trying to build that? There's no way you could, because of probably the volume, right? So just to level set and bring it home, what's in it for these companies? You talked about the keyword GPO, group purchase orders, right?
Purchasing organization.
Purchasing organization, excuse me.
Yeah.
So maybe just could you put a bow on that and tie it together? Like, what's in it for these B2B businesses? How are you, able to create a win-win for them and for us? And the reason I asked is I believe that people are able to do business with you when they understand everything, and there's no
Sure.
like, skepticism. Like, how is everybody winning?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to be super transparent about it because it's a win-win-win across the board, right? As a member, you're getting access to extreme discounts and quality and support that you wouldn't get otherwise. As Host GPO, we charge a membership fee. It's free for 3 months. You can try it out and sign up and all that stuff. But we charge a membership fee, kind of like a Costco or like an Amazon, like annual fee, like very, very low, spread out across all of our members, and like that's our main source of revenue. And then for the vendors, they're thrilled that we are funneling as much purchasing as a group together, right? They're really excited about the volume that we bring to the table. And they're really excited about the fact that as a community, we'll do things like we'll waive return policies on mattresses because everybody that's ordering through us, they know which mattress it is that they want. You know what I'm saying? So if you're ordering a mattress, like usually if you order like a mattress online, there's like 100-day return policy for the mattress, right? Now, obviously, if anything is defective or not right or isn't good, like they'll refund it or send you another one or whatever it is. But like if you're a business and you're ordering these mattresses for your business and we vetted them, our community has vetted them, and there's a handful of different options, if you get that mattress for your property, you're not going to return it. Like maybe you'll order a different one down the road, but that's how we're able to get the pricing down so low, is that we're doing things like, negotiating specifically for our industry on the things that we want, right? Ship to different locations, free shipping. And we're giving up things that we don't think are super important. Like, nobody's returning, the mattress encasements that they ordered because they didn't love them, we know which ones to get. We've already partnered with them. The quality of everything that we're doing is good, and these are name brands. But ultimately, that's kind of what's built in for them. They're getting a better customer that they know is working with Host GPO and is focused on being a professional and scaling their business. Right? They're hoping, just like we're hoping for you, that you're going from 5 to 50 units and 50 to 500 units, or whatever your goal is. Right? We want to help you scale your business. And I think that that's what these vendors really value, is that we're bringing the right kinds of customers to the table, and really business customers that are going to keep buying and are okay with some of the trade terms that we're giving. And in exchange, we're providing an insane amount of volume.
Tell me, Jeff, who is this for and who is this not for? Obviously, we've made it very clear as what problem this is solving, but I want to make sure I highlight that and that we hear it from the horse's mouth as far as what your thoughts on are when you think of who your avatar is. I think that's really important to be able to call out who this is for and who this is not.
This is for any vacation rental company, property management company, owner operator, interior designer who's in the vacation rental space, who's touching more than 3 vacation rental units, and or setting up an entirely new home, and is in the US or Canada, which I can't remember if I started with that, but you have to be in the US or Canada. It is not for if you are just trying Airbnb out and you're like, I'm going to try Airbnb and rent out my second bedroom in my house. This is not for you. If you're approaching this as a, hey, I'm creating a business here, or I really care about becoming at scale, or having multiple units, or I'm new to this, but I'm about to do an entirely new home that's a multiple unit property, like et cetera, this really becomes a big value add for you. For people that are just doing small kind of one-off purchasing, or are not going to be reordering, or are not really focused on that kind of stuff, especially if you have kind of less than 3 units, this really doesn't make sense for you. But that being said, if you're setting up like a new 5-6 bedroom home or something like that, or 4-bedroom home, and you're about to be spending a lot, there is a huge amount of value here for you. So that's kind of who, and it's those people all the way up to, you have 50 units, you have 500 units, you have 5,000 units. Those people are all a part of our community, and they get the community aspect of, the bigger the group gets, And the more we buy together, there's strength in numbers, and we're able to negotiate better deals across the board. So deals that weren't even possible to us 2 years ago, like Google Nest, we couldn't even figure out how to do that 2 years ago. And we just launched that a couple months ago. And it's a great, unbelievable deal on all Google Nest products. So Wi-Fi extenders and smoke detectors,
Wow.
and thermostats and cameras and all that stuff. So the bigger the group gets, the more we're able to do cool stuff like that. And so anybody who wants to be a part of that community, like, this is for you.
Absolutely. And if you're listening and you're here, you stuck around long enough, then you already know what time it is. Where can we find out and get our memberships and get activated? I know that I'm definitely gonna be getting set up. I was just telling you offline that we got some acquisitions coming this and a quarter and beginning next. So we're gonna definitely look to be leveraging a seamless tool, right? That kind of gives us the feel and the experience that we need to have as operators who are, again, launching furnishing complete from the ground up. So where can we, I know where to go, but can you tell the people where to go and for them to kind of get set up and move forward and get
Absolutely.
acquainted?
Yeah, so you can go to Host GPO, so HOST GPO for group purchasing organization, hostgpo.com. And you can click on the join us now, become a member. It's like a 5-question questionnaire where you set it up, you book a time to chat. The onboarding call that you go through to get approved is super important because it's a great way for our team. By the way, everybody at Host GPO is a vacation rental host. So our entire team is comprised of people who signed up for Host GPO and wanted to join us and help, or people who've been in the industry and get it. And so that onboarding call is talking to somebody who's an expert in how to buy and do things, so you can say what you're about to go through, and they can help guide you. So go through the onboarding call, get approved, and then once you get approved, you're able to log in. You can also follow us, all of our LinkedIn and Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff at Host GPO.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you and stepping in the lab here. I know you got a lot of stuff cooking, and you're really here to serve multiple operators like ourselves across the nation and in Canada as well. So just real quick, man, like what do you think is next for you? Like if you come back 5 years from now, 10 years from now, back on the show, and you and I sync up, what are you projecting, man? What do you think you're going to be at? And it doesn't have to be, any numbers related. Maybe it is, but maybe it's just even where you think you want to take this company, where you think you might be personally kind of be playing in, whose backyard you'll be in. Like, what are your thoughts, man? I know you got some stuff. I know you're one to be plotting ahead, I'm sure. So
Yeah,
what do you think the move is?
I'm always thinking about it. I mean, I think that Host GPO, has a lot left to do. And so part of the reason why our membership fee is so low, and part of the reason why we offer like a 3-month free trial and all that stuff, is because we want people to try it out, and because we're still building it. We're signing new deals all the time. So things like Solo Stove and Linus Bikes and all these newer deals, Ace Hardware, right? All these newer deals that we've signed, that is not going to stop over the next several years. And so I really look at Host GPO itself. I mean, I'm focused very much on growing this business, but I'd like to be able to offer more services. So I would love for you to be able to get $5, $10 off every internet bill for all your properties. I'd love to be able to offer those kinds of things. So we're really working towards doing that, expanding the categories and all that. And then, 10 years. So assuming everything goes well with Host GPO and we're able to help all of our members grow their businesses and be super successful, I think in 10 years, I'll start another vacation rental company. With everything that I've learned over 2 decades of experience, I'll start another vacation rental company. And I have some ideas about how I would want to do it. But I think that that'll change too, because, what's really cool about being a part of this community is that you are just constantly learning. And it is so amazing. This was a really lonely industry 8-9 years ago. I mean, there was nobody out there talking about it. It was like either a big faux pas or you were operating in the gray, or you know, you had to figure it out on your own. And I mean, I was struggling. I mean, I had a great partner who had a lot of experience before coming into the space, but like, you know, it's cool to have this community now and to be a part of something like this where you're really connecting with other people and learning. And so I see some of the cool things that other members are doing. I see some of the things that other, you know, influencers in the space are doing, and some of the vacation rental companies. And I look at a couple of the guys in the space and women in the space who have been in the industry for 15 years, 10, 15 years already. And they're, you know, it never stops. They had a vacation rental company, and then they started a software company, and now they're working on a, you know, or they had a pricing company, and now they have, you know, and I think that all the learnings that they get through each of these phases allows them to keep kind of building. So I think I'll always be in this industry. It's just a matter of I think maybe it's time for me to go back on the inside a little bit and build out a vacation rental company 5-10 years from now.
That's awesome, man. Well, listen, you know, I think you've given us the tool to build some of our own companies as well, with a really good tool that can help us get there and make our lives easier, and really fix an issue that really is sometimes overlooked, right? Like, it's a process, right? So definitely, this is why I wanted to have you here on our show, to share your journey, and you know, get to know you, and then understand how we can work with you. So thank you for taking the time out of your precious day to step into the lab with us, roll up your sleeves, tell us the game as from entrepreneur to entrepreneur, and then serve us as well within the short-term rental community. We look forward to having you back on the show for sure, Jeff.
Can't wait. Anytime. Would love to do it.
Just like that, we are out.